Jai Jagadish Hare, Jai Jagadish Hare, Jai Jagadish Hare.
Adbhuta Jivam Dalita Hidanyakasi Uda Tanurenga Ishavadita Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadi Hare Jai Jagadi Hare Jai Jagadi Hare
Adbhuta Singam Dalita Hiranyakashipu Tanu Bingam Jaya Krishna Vadita Nagari Rupa Jai Jagadish Hare Jai Jagadish Hare Jai Jagadish Hare Jaya Lakshmi Narasimha Jaya Ananta Dev Lakshmi Narasimha Jaya Ananta
Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada
Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Prabhupada.
थैंक यू अमोहा। इंस्टेंट एनर्जी आ गई नरसिंह देव का। जैसे ही आपने आरती गाया आपके अंदर इतना एनर्जी आ गया। थैंक यू। So Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita that what is the purpose of his descent, why he appears in this material world? Paritranaya sadhunam. To deliver or for the pleasure of sadhu. And this amazing form of the Lord appears for only one person. Namaste Narasimhaya Prahlad Aladadai. Only for the Ahlad, only for the मुझे नरसिंह देव का फेस दिखाना है ना, अपना नहीं दिखाना है। For the pleasure of Prahlad, and of course, and then Vinashaya cha Dushritam, that is secondary. And in this form, in this ferocious form, Lord Narasimha killed only one person, and that is Hiranyakashipu. Amazingly, if you see, Hiranyakashipu had such powers, he had such unparalleled position that he could terrorize the entire creation. Everyone was subordinate to him. No one could dare to trouble him. He was the one who was troubling everyone. But one person troubled Hiranyakashipu. And who is that person? Prahlad. This is amazing. Why? Because Prahlad did not agree or did not obey what he said. In the material creation, there was no one who could disobey. And Hiranyakashipu was so disturbed. He was so very disturbed. He could not bear that how is this little boy, Prahlad, going against me? It's a very amazing appearance of Lord Narasimha. Of course, this Narasimha appearance is to glorify his devotee Prahlad. So I thought that let us, although there are so many chapters in the 7th canto, which is the Science of God, and in that the main focus of the 7th canto is the characteristics of Prahlad Maharaj and Lord Narasimha slaying the Asura Hiranyakashipu. So we will take the chapter, we'll try to see as much we can cover the chapter of today's event, today's festival, that Narasimha slays Hiranyakashipu. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Mama, you know that's also what you can be. Om Namo Bhagavate Narasimhaya. Bolo.
नमो भगवते नरसिंहाय नमस्ते जस्ते जसे आज्ञा
अरे धीरे धीरे, अरे अरे हम भी तो कहते हैं। हाँ, एक लाइन आप बोलो फिर हम बोलेंगे। पहली लाइन बोलो।
ओम नमो भगवते नरसिंहाय
Om Namo Bhagavate
भगवते नरसिंहाय
नमस्ते जस्ते जसे आज्ञा
Namaste Jasa Tejase
नमस्ते तेजसे आविर्भाव
Avirabhava
वज्रखा वज्रदं क्लेमासा अंध्या अंध्या तमोगस ओम स्वाहा
Namaste Jasa Tejase Tamasyanarandhya Tamogrishidusho Shaha
एक एक लाइन बोलो।
प्राप्य मात भूयिष्ठा
Avayam Atmani Bhuvishta Om Srom
ओम श्रोम। एक बार और, someone else, Manoram, Manoram Prabhu, I hope you would have recited from morning. बोलिए।
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी। ओम नमो भगवते नरसिंहाय
ओम नमो भगवते नरसिंहाय
नमस्तेजस्तेजसे अभिराविर्भाव
नमो तेजस तेजसे आविर्भाव
वज्रनका वज्रदंष्टा कम कर्मशया रंदया रंदया
वज्रनखा वज्रदंष्ट्रा कर्माशय रंदया रंदया
तमो ग्रास ग्रास ओम स्वाहा
नमो ग्रास ग्रास ओम स्वाहा
अवयम अवयम आत्मनि भूयिष्ठ ओम श्रम
अभयम अभयम आत्मनि भूयश्रा ओम श्रम। Thank you. So we will recite from Srimad Bhagavatam. We all know what the story is, that Hiranyakashipu, he performed great austerities, and with performing the austerities, he could please Brahmaji, and he got so many benedictions. And by receiving those benedictions, he wanted to misuse it. How can we know that the person is demoniac? That as soon as he gets power, what he does, he misuses this. He applies his power to harass and exploit others. But his son is saintly, Prahlad Maharaj. And Prahlad Maharaj, before his birth, while he was in the womb of his mother, he got the greatest benediction of getting association of Sri Narad Muni. And from Narad Muni, he learned the science of devotional service while he was in the womb of his mother. And as he grew up, he would share the science which he learned from Sri Narad Muni to his classmates, to his batchmates, to his playmates, all the sons of the Asuras. So I'm taking the last verse, which summarizes all of the teachings of Prahlad Maharaj. This is what Prahlad learned in the womb. This is verse number 55th. This is the last verse. Very beautiful verse. So Prahlad Maharaj is saying, Etavaneva loke asmin Pumsa swartha parasmrita Ekant bhaktir govinde Yat sarvatra tadikshana. So Prahlad Maharaj is giving us this teaching, the essence of all his learning, that in this material world, we are all in this material world. to render service to the lotus feet of Govinda, the cause of all causes, and to see him everywhere is the only goal of life. This is the sum and substance of teaching of Prahlad Maharaj. This much alone is the ultimate goal of human life, as explained by all the revealed scriptures. In this verse, the word Sarvatra Tad Ikshanam describes the highest perfection of devotional service, in which one sees everything with reference to Govinda's activities. The highly elevated devotee never sees anything unrelated to Govinda. स्थावर जंगम देखी ना देखी तार मूर्ति सर्वत्र होए निज इष्ट देव स्फूर्ति. This is from Chaitanya Charitamrita. This is what Srila Ramanand Rai and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu are having the conversation. So what is the symptom of one who is very elevated, one who is spiritually advanced? The Mahabhagavata, the advanced devotee, certainly sees everything, mobile and immobile. Sthavara, sthavara means which is fixed, which cannot move, like the trees, the mountains, the buildings. And Jangam means which that is moving. So an advanced devotee certainly sees everything mobile and immobile, but he does not exactly see their forms. Rather, everywhere he immediately sees manifest the form of Supreme Lord. That is Ito Narasimha or Ato Narasimha. Even in this material world, a devotee does not see materially manifested things. Instead, he sees Govinda in everything. When Srila Prabhupada was preaching in the West, Prabhupada used to travel with his disciples. And while he was traveling, either in the car or in the train or in the plane, wherever and whatever he saw, he would tell his disciples that this building is good. We will take this building, we will convert it into a temple. The main room will be the temple. Go on explaining without even entering the temple building, without even knowing whose building it is, what will be the cost, how it will come to him. He had no clue. But he had this advanced vision because he did not see that building separate from Krishna. So even in this material world, a devotee does not see materially manifested thing. Instead, he sees Govinda in everything. And when he sees a tree or a human being, a devotee sees them in relation to Govinda. Govinda Madi Purusha. Govinda is the original source of everything. Ishvara Parama Krishna Sachidananda Vigraha Anadiradir Govinda Sarvakaran Karanam. Krishna, who is known as Govinda, is the supreme controller. He has an eternal, blissful spiritual body. He is the origin of all, and he has no other origin. He is Anadir Adir Govinda. There is no one who is the cause of him, Anadir. But he is Adir. He is the original cause of everyone. The test of a perfect devotee is that he sees Govinda everywhere in this universe. Even in every atomic particle. Anda antarastha paramanu chayantarastham. This is the perfect vision of a devotee. It is therefore said, Narayana mayam dhira pashyanti paramatmina jagadhana mayam lubdha kamuka kamani mayam. A devotee sees everyone and everything in relation with Narayan. Narayana mayam. Everything expansion of Narayan's energy. Just as those who are greedy sees everything as a source of money making. You heard that story? There was a businessman who never found any time to do worship or devotion to the Lord. So as he grew old, his sons became very worried and they wanted him to be replaced in the business. So what they did with the local Brahmin, they paid the Brahmin and said, please take our father for a pilgrimage. And they went to Varanasi. They went to the Ganges ghats. One of the most popular ghats in Ganges is Manikarnika Ghat. You know Manikarnika Ghat? Heard? And as soon as this businessman Manikarnika Ghat, so the Brahmin thought that after traveling so much with being in the place of religious potency, ultimately some detachment has emerged in the heart of this business-minded person. So he said, why you did, if you would have brought me here before 30 years, I would have made millions by selling wood for the funeral. Because he was not seeing cremation. He was not seeing the bank of the Ganges. What he was seeing? He was seeing only money. See, Prabhupada is saying here. Prabhupada is saying here that those who are greedy see everything as a source of money making. And those who are lusty see everything as conducive to sex. Okay, the most perfect devotee, Prahlad Maharaj, saw Narayan even within the stone column. This does not mean, however, that we must accept the word Daridra Narayan, which have been manufactured by some unscrupulous persons. One who is happy and visions Narayan everywhere makes no distinction between the poor and the rich. To single out the Daridra Narayan or poor Narayan and reject the Dhani Narayan or rich Narayan is not the vision of a devotee. It is Prabhupada's vision. And Prabhupada said, you bring all money to me. What I can do, if you bring the entire wealth of the world, I can engage it in service of Narayan. And there is another mentality which is the Hiranyakashipu mentality. He wants to grab all the resources to engage in his own service, rather than the imperfect version of a materialistic persons. Thus ends the Bhakti Vedanta purport to the seventh canto, seventh chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled What Love. Now, Lord explains his own Prahlad. He tried his level. He put all his force, all his resource, all his power, all his persons to kill only one person. And all his completely failed. Hiranyakashipu was ready to kill his own son Prahlad Maharaj, but the supreme personality of Godhead in front of a demon as Sri Narkesari. Beautiful. Now, another name of sin there. As Narkesari. Half lion and half man, and killed him. Following the instructions of Prahlad Maharaj, all the sons of the demons became attached to Lord Vishnu. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, when this attachment became pronounced, their teachers, Shanda and Amarka, were very much afraid that the boys would become more and more devoted to the Lord. In a helpless condition, they approached Hiranyakashipu and described in detail the effect of Prahlad's preaching. If one can, we should aspire to become a preacher like Prahlad Maharaj. He could preach even to the demoniac. What to speak of those who are favorable. After hearing of this, Hiranyakashipu decided to kill his son Prahlad. Hiranyakashipu was so angry that Prahlad Maharaj fell down to his feet and said many things to pacify him. But he was unsuccessful in satisfying his demoniac father Hiranyakashipu. As a typical demon, began to advertise himself being greater than the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But Prahlad Maharaj challenged him, saying that Hiranyakashipu was not God, and began to glorify the Supreme Personality of Godhead, declaring that the Lord is all pervading and everything is under him, and that no one is equal to or greater than him. Thus he requested his father to be submissive to the omnipotent Supreme Lord. The more Prahlad of Godhead, more angry and agitated demon became. Hiranyakashipu asked his Vaishnava son what existed within the cause of peace, and Prahlad Maharaj immediately accepted that since the Lord is present everywhere. He was also present within the faith, conviction was there in the heart. of Prahlad Maharaj. When Hiranyakashipu heard this philosophy from his young son, he derided the boy's statement as just the talk of a child and forcefully struck the pillar with his fist. So Bhagavatam says he struck it with the fist, not with his club. As soon as Hiranyakashipu struck the column, there issued forth a tumultuous sound. At first, could not but the substantial statement. What came out for incarnation of extraordinary form meant for his death. And thus to fight with the half an hour, half last time by fighting with the sometime. And evening on the between game, the Lord captured him, threw him on his lap, and killed him with beating. Hare Krishna, can you hear?
Yes, Pranav.
As soon as Hiranyakashipu struck the column, there issued forth a tumultuous sound. At first, Hiranyakashipu, the king of the demons, could not see anything but the pillar. But to substantiate Prahlad's statement, the Lord came out of the pillar in his wonderful incarnation as Narasimha, half lion and half man. Hiranyakashipu could immediately understand that the extraordinarily wonderful form of the Lord was surely meant for his death. And thus he prepared to fight with the form of half lion and half man. The Lord performed this pastime by fighting with the demon for some time, and in the evening, on the border between day and night, the Lord captured the demon, threw him on his lap, and killed him by piercing his abdomen with his nails. The Lord not only killed Hiranyakashipu, the king of the demons, but also killed many of his followers. When there was no one to fight, the Lord sat down on Hiranyakashipu's throne. The entire universe was thus relieved of the of Hiranyakashipu. Was jubilee transcendental. Then all the demigods of Brahma approached the Lord. These saintly persons, the Pitas, the Siddhas, the Vidyadharas, the Nagas, the Manus, the Prajapatis, the Gandharvas, the Charanas, the Yakshas, Naras, the varieties of being in human planets, different planets. Stood off, began off to the Lord. Spiritual first was sat on the Srinath. इंटरनेट कनेक्शन चला गया दिख रहा है शेयर आ रहा है आ गया श्री नारद वाच अथ दैत्य सुता सर्वे श्रुत्वा तद्वर्णिताम् जगृर्निर्वद्यावत्वा नेव गुरु अनुशिक्षिताम्. Narad Muni continued, all the sons of the demons appreciated the transcendental instructions of Prahlad Maharaj and took them very seriously. Very important. That for all of us, this is where we really are not up to the required level. We should take these instructions very seriously. Who took it very seriously? All the sons of demons. They rejected the materialistic instructions given by their teachers Shanda and Amarka. But we see the opposite. Now we see even in devotee community, they send their children to public schools or private schools or English schools. And what they do now, they reject the transcendental instructions and they embrace what their school teachers say. So we should learn from Prahlad Maharaj. This is the effect of preaching of a pure devotee like Prahlad Maharaj. If a devotee is qualified, sincere and serious about Krishna consciousness, and if he follows the instructions of the bona fide spiritual master, as Prahlad Maharaj did, when preaching the instructions he had received from Narad Muni, his preaching is effective. As it is said in Srimad Bhagavatam, very beautiful verse, Satam prasanga कथा अजोषनादा सुपवर्ग वर्तमनि श्रद्धारतिर्भक्तिरनुक्रमशति. If one tries to understand the discourse, that's very important. How one can come to this level of becoming qualified, sincere, and serious Krishna consciousness. This is the key here. If one tries to understand the discourses given by the Sata means the pure devotees of the Lord, instructions will be very pleasing to the ear and appealing to the heart. This is what we have to cultivate. That whenever we receive messages, yesterday we were saying, prime qualification be a Mahatma. Yesterday I heard that point. See how many of you heard attentively or received it actually. Anyone remembers? मैंने तो बहुत कुछ इंस्ट्रक्शन आएगा. You tell me who is Mahatma? मैंने कल प्रपोज बताया था who is the Mahatma? बोलो भाई, अब तो मेरे पास ही बैठे हुए थे.
One who received the transcendental message from the Lord Krishna.
Yeah, one who receives the transcendental message. The problem with us is what we do? We dismiss. We are not able to receive it into the heart. Why? Because our receiver is, it is out of order. What we have to do? We have to tune the receiver to be able to hear. They are coming or not there? किसी का वीडियो नहीं आ रहा. Hare Krishna. So thus if one is inspired, so it should be pleasing to the ears and appealing to the heart. Thus if one is inspired to take to Krishna consciousness, and if one practices the process in his life, he is surely successful in returning home back to Godhead. This is what we were discussing. Napnuvanti Mahatmana Samsiddhi Paragati. By the grace of Prahlad Maharaj, all his class friends, the sons of the demons, became Vaishnavas. They did not like hearing Shraddha, and they were only teaching them about diplomacy, politics, economic development, and similar topics meant for exclusively for sense gratification. So they were not interested. This is what it means to align the ear. I won't be able to complete the chapter. What is the time? Ending 2. 1:55. And Shanda and Avarga, the sons of Shukracharya, all But all these students, these are some demons, but becoming imams in Krishna consciousness because of their association of Prahlad Maharaj. They were afraid. They approached the king of the demons as the situation. Okay, other words. एयरटेल के बहुत सारे दिख रहे हैं 4501 ये आपका है क्या? है ना, आप पांडव के नाम से है ना? हाँ, क्या है?
Samsung Galaxy F14.
ये F14 बोलो पासवर्ड. हाँ,
LOL, LOL.
हेलो हेलो हो गया. हेलो हेल बस 2 बार 3 बार देख लो भाई सही है ना. Internet is giving some problem today. Is my voice reaching you? Please say yes or no. At least one of you respond.
Yes, Prabhuji. Yes,
Is it
Prabhuji.
not
clear
reaching?
now. It is clear now, Prabhuji.
Okay, good. When Shanda and Amarka, the sons of Sukari, because of the association of Prahlad, they were afraid for the king of the demons and described the situation as it was. The Buddhim Ekanta Samastitham indicates that as the effect of Prahlad being, the students who listened to him became fixed in the conclusion that Krishna consciousness is the only object of human life. This should be the effect of reaching. The fact is that anyone who associates with the devotees and follows his instruction The teachers particularly observed this in their students, and therefore they were afraid because the whole community of students were gradually becoming Krishna conscious. When Hiranyakashipu understood the entire situation, he was extremely angry, so much so that his body trembled. When there is too much of anger, what happens? He loses control. His body trembles, the eyes become red, the lips also tremble. He finally decided to kill his son Prahlad. It was very cruel. Insulated, insulted, he began hissing like a snake trampled upon by someone. His son Prahlad was peaceful, mild, and gentle. His senses were under control, and he stood ever before Hiranyakashipu with folded hands. According to Prahlad's age and behavior, he was not to be chastised. How old was Prahlad?
5 years.
5 years. Hare Krishna. So please be here because I am sitting in the office. I'm not in my usual ashram room. So internet is not very stable. I'm trying some other connection. Let us see. When one is impudent toward the highly authorized devotee, one is punished by the law of nature. Why? What is it? What is it technically called? When one is impudent toward the highly authorized devotee, one is punished by the law of nature. What is this principle? है? ऐसे करो जैसे कभी कुछ किया ही नहीं, जानते ही नहीं। बोलो क्या है? वैष्णव अपराध. Vaishnav अपराध. The duration of his life is diminished, and he loses the blessings of superior persons and the results of pious activities. Hiranyakashipu, for example, had achieved great power in the material world, and he could subdue practically all the planetary systems in the universe, including the heavenly planet Svargaloka. Yet now, because of his mistreatment of such a Vaishnava as Prahlad Maharaj, all the results of his tapasya diminished, as stated in Srimad Bhagavatam 10.4.46. Ayushriya yasho dharma lokanashish evacha anti shriyamsi sarvani pumso mahad atikrama. When one mistreats great souls, his lifespan, opulence, reputation, religion, possessions, and good fortune are all destroyed. Hiranyakashipu said, "O most impudent, most unintelligent." She Hiranyakashipu Ruvacha, He Durvinita Mandatman Kulabheda Karandhama Stabdhamma Chashanor Vidtam Neshetvadyayamashayam. So what he says? Neshetvadyayamashayam. Hiranyakashipu said, "Oh, most impudent, most unintelligent. Who can be, who can have the intelligence of Prahlad Maharaj?" What he's saying? Most intelligent, unintelligent, disruptor of the family. O lowest of mankind. You have violated my power to rule you, and therefore you are an obstinate fool. Today I shall send you to the place of Yamaraj. Hiranyakashipu condemned his Vaishnav sir Prahlad for being Durvinita, ungentle. Vinita is gentle and Durvinita is ungentle, uncivilized or impudent. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, however, has derived a meaning from this word Durvinita by the mercy of goddess of learning, Saraswati. He says that Duh refers to this material world. This is confirmed by Lord Krishna in his instructions in Bhagavad Gita that this material world is Dukhalayam. The same verse that we discussed last night. And that this material world is Dukhalayam. We should read that verse every day, couple of times. Every day, couple of times we should read that word, because our mind and our senses and our intelligence fail to accept the reality. That this place is Dukhalayam. Our mind, our senses, and our intelligence will keep on convincing us that this place is a place of Sukhalayam or Bhogalayam. But this is a place which is Dukhalayam, full of material conditions. Vi means Visheshaha, specifically, and Nita means brought in. By the mercy of Supreme Lord, Prahlad Maharaj was specially brought to this material world to teach people how to get out of the material condition. Very important. This is the purpose of why Prahlad Maharaj came. Prahlad Maharaj was specially brought. He was sent from the spiritual world to this material world. Prabhupada is very specifically mentioning to teach people how to get out of this material condition. You see, once I gave a class and I drew the parallel between Prahlad Maharaj and Srila Prabhupada. Like Prahlad Maharaj preached in a place where there was not even one devotee. Everyone was demoniac. They were all the sons of the demoniac fathers. They were all demons. And where did Prabhupada go and preach? To the lower east side of New York. They were all drug addict. All uncivilized, barbaric people. V means Vishesha. Okay. Lord Krishna says, Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata. When the entire population or part of it becomes forgetful of his own duty, Krishna comes. When Krishna is not present, the devotee is present. This is very important. How Krishna, what he says, Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata abhyutthanam adharmasya tadatmanam srijami. And the next he says, Dharma sansthapanarthayam sambhavami yuge yuge. So how he establishes the religion? By coming himself or by sending his empowered representative. So first he sent his empowered representative in the form of Prahlad. When the entire population or part of it becomes forgetful of his own duty, Krishna comes. This is called Dharma Glani. So in the Kali Yuga, what are the periods of Dharma Glani? What is Dharma Glani? When we forget to perform our duty, then there is Dharma Glani. So what is the duty of human race? What is the duty of the human race? To perform? To perform devotional service. So at present moment, there is Dharma Glani every moment. When no one is performing devotional service, everyone is wanting to enjoy. When Krishna is not present, the devotee is present, but the mission is the same, to free the poor conditioned soul from the clutches of Maya that chastise them. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur further explains that the word Mandatmana means Manda. Manda, very bad or very slow in spiritual realization. As stated in Srimad Bhagavatam, Manda Sumanda Matayo, Manda Bhagya. Prahlad Maharaj is the guide of all the Mandas. So our aspirations, our role model, our hero should be Prahlad Maharaj. Prabhupada is saying that he is the guide to all the Mandas or bad living entities who are under the influence of Maya. One may say, how can you call me bad? But are we not under the influence of Maya? He is the benefactor even of the slow and bad living entities in this material world. Kula bheda karadha adhama. Kula bheda karadhama. By his actions, Prahlad Maharaj made great personalities who established big families seem insignificant. Everyone is interested in his own family and is making his dynasty famous. But Prahlad Maharaj was so liberal that he made no distinction between one living entity and another. Therefore, he was greater than the great Prajapatis who established their dynasties. The word stabdam means obstinate. A devotee does not care for the instructions of the asuras. Very important. If we are aspiring to be a devotee, then we should not care for the instructions of those who are non-devotees. They are asuras. When they give instructions, he remains silent. A devotee cares about the instructions of Krishna, not those who are demons or non-devotees. He does not give any respect to a demon, even though the demon be his father. Mat chashon anodvitam. Prahlad Maharaj was disobedient to the orders of the demoniac father. Yamashayam. Every conditioned soul is under the control of Yamraj. But Hiranyakashipu said that he considered Prahlad Maharaj his deliverer. For Prahlad would stop Hiranyakashipu's repetition of birth and death. In the morning, Mohan Prabhu was reading that. How many generations are delivered? 21. 21 generations are delivered. So Hiranyakashipu, by saying that Rama Shayam, he was meaning that he will send his son Prahlad to the abode of Yamraj. But actually, Prahlad Maharaj is Yamashayam. He will save Hiranyakashipu from going to the abode of Yamraj. Why? Because Prahlad Maharaj would stop Hiranyakashipu's repetition of birth and death. Because Prahlad Maharaj was a great devotee, was better than a yogi. Hiranyakashipu was to be brought among the society of Bhakti yogis. How this transformation happened? Due to Prahlad Maharaj. Thus, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has explained these words in a very interesting way, as they can be interpreted from the side of Saraswati, the mother of learning. My son Prahlad, you rascal, you know that when I am angry, all the planets of the three worlds tremble, along with their chief rulers. By whose power has a rascal like you become so impudent that you appear fearless and overstep my power to rule you? This was his trouble. This was his area of agony, that he could not rule over Prahlad's heart. The relationship between a pure devotee and the Supreme Personality of Godhead is extremely relishable. A devotee never claims to be very powerful himself. Instead, he fully surrenders to the lotus feet of Krishna, being confident that in all dangerous conditions, Krishna will protect his devotee. Krishna says himself in Bhagavad Gita 9:31, Kaunteya pratijanahi name bhaktya pranashyati. O son of Kanti, declare boldly that my devotee never perishes. The Lord requested Arjuna to declare this instead of declaring it himself, because sometimes Krishna changes his view and therefore people might not believe him. Thus, Krishna asked Arjuna to declare that a devotee of the Lord is never vanquished. Because whatever the devotee declares, Krishna has to abide. Hiranyakashipu was perplexed about how his 5-year-old boy would be so fearless that he did not care for the order of his very great and powerful father. A devotee cannot execute the order of anyone except the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is the position of a devotee. The second learning. What was the first? What was said in the previous verse? What Prabhupada said?
Do not care about the instruction.
One should not care about the instructions of those who are non-devotees or demonics. And here he's saying a devotee cannot execute. Cannot execute. This is the setting in the heart of a devotee, that he can only execute the orders of the Supreme Lord and his representatives. Hiranyakashipu could understand that his boy must have been very powerful, since the boy did not heed his orders. Hiranyakashipu asked his son, Kim Balaha, how have you overcome my order? नहीं सुन रही आप? हाँ, तो कॉपी का है, कॉपी में लिखो. How have you overcome my order? By whose strength have you done this? So Prahlad Maharaj will speak. Very beautiful verse. Shri Prahlad Uvacha Na kevalam me bhavatascha rajan Save balam balina chaparesha Paravare amistira jangamaye Brahma adayo yena vasham pranitaha. Prahlad Maharaj said, my dear king, the source of my strength, of which you are asking, is also the source of yours. See the reply. Indeed, the original source of all kinds of strength is one. He is not only your strength or mine, but the only strength for everyone. Without him, no one can get any strength. Whether moving or not moving, superior or inferior, everyone, including Lord Brahma, is controlled by the strength of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Lord Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita 10.41, Yad yad vibhuti mat sarvam Srimad urjitam eva va tat tat eva gachatvam mam tejo amsha sambhava. Know that all beautiful, glorious and mighty creations spring from but a spark of my splendor. This is confirmed by Prahlad Maharaj. If one sees extraordinary strength or power anywhere, this is the conviction. We may say, but in the heart, we do not accept that if one sees extraordinary strength or power or beauty anywhere, it is derived from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. To give an example, there are different grades of fire, but all of them derive heat and light from the sun. Similarly, all living entities, big or small, are dependent on the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One's only duty is to surrender, for one is the servant and cannot independently attain the position of master. One can attain the position of master only by the mercy of the master, not independently. Unless one understands this philosophy, he is still a mudha, or in other words, he is not very intelligent. The mudha, the asses who do not have this intelligence, cannot surrender unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Understanding the subordinate position of the living entity takes millions of words. Sri Prabhupada is warning us. Understanding the subordinate position of the living entity takes millions of words. Bahunam janmanam ante jnanavan mam prapadyate. It is very important to have this knowledge. And through this knowledge, to have this understanding. And with the understanding, to have this conviction. And with this conviction, when we apply, then we can have the realizations. Otherwise, only life will pass. But there will not be surrender. But when one is actually wise, he surrenders unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Lord says in Bhagavad Gita, Bahunam Janmanam Ante Jnanavan Mam Prapadyate Vasudeva Sarvamiti Samahatma Sudurlabha. After many births and deaths, he who is actually in knowledge surrenders unto me, knowing me to be the cause of all causes and all that is. Such a great soul is very rare. Prahlad Maharaj was a great soul, a Mahatma, and therefore he completely surrendered unto the lotus feet of the Lord. He was confident that Krishna would give him protection under all circumstances. What is the symptom of Sharanagati? Surrendering process. There are 6 symptoms of Sharanagati. What are the one of the symptoms which is displayed by Prahlad Maharaj very prominently here? What is that symptom? Very good. Rakshasi iti Vishwasha. Avashya Rakhibe Krishna. Avashya Rakhibe Krishna. That Krishna will surely protect him. If one is a devotee, then this feeling, this conviction should be there deep in his heart that Krishna is the owner, Krishna is the controller, and Krishna is the protector. And Krishna has already declared so many times in Bhagavad Gita. Where all he has declared in Bhagavad Gita? Who will quickly tell me? Where all he declares in Bhagavad Gita? Bole. Second chapter. Where he declares in the second chapter? Right from the beginning, he keeps assuring. Swalpamapi yasya dharmasya trahate mahatokya. Then when he comes into the further, when he assures sixth chapter, nahi kalyan krit kaschit durgatim tat gachati. Then of course we heard the last there. नारियल दो आ जाएगा मालूम ना. So in this way, Krishna, the Bhagavad Gita is also a book of assurance. He was confident that Krishna would give him protection under all circumstances. This is a Mahajan. Srila Prabhupada and his followers also exhibited that Krishna will give protection under all circumstances. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the supreme controller and time factor, is the power of the senses, the power of the mind, the power of the body, and the vital force of the senses. His influence is unlimited. He is the best of all living entities, the controller of the 3 modes of material nature. He, by his own power, he creates this cosmic manifestation, maintains it, and annihilates it also. So this we will see those who are pure devotees, those who are advanced devotees. For them, there is not a trace of doubt in their heart. Yeah? अच्छा ठीक है अभी आएगा कहाँ तो 3 बजे के बाद बुलाएगा पड़वा हो जाएगा ना धूप में. Since the material world is being moved by the 3 modes, and since the Lord is their master, the Lord can create, maintain, and destroy this material world. So how one can submit to the Lord unless one is situated in knowledge? Very important. That is why Aishwarya Gyan is very much required. One can have only relationship with the Lord when one is established this Aishwarya Gyan, when one is fully convinced. Prahlad Maharaj continued, my dear father, please give up your demonic mentality. Do not discriminate in your heart between enemies and friends. Make some the controlled and misguided mind. There is no enemy within this world. Very important. Except for the uncontrolled and misguided mind, there is no enemy within this world. Very profound. अर्थे जिदात आत्मा उत्पत्ते स्थिता. When one sees everyone on the platform of equality, one then comes to the position of worshipping the Lord perfectly. Unless one is able to fix the mind at the lotus feet of the Lord, the mind is impossible to control, as Arjuna says in Bhagavad Gita 6.34. Chanchalam hi mana Krishna pramati balavadrinam tasyaham nigraham manne vayureva sudushkaram. For the mind is restless, turbulent, obstinate, and very strong. O Krishna, and to subdue it seems to me is more difficult than controlling the mind. The only bona fide process for controlling the mind is to fix the mind by service to the Lord. Very important. Uh, How to make the mind become a devotee? By fixing the mind in service of the Lord. What service we can perform? Fixing the mind in service of the Lord. Tell me. How we can fix the mind? By service to the Lord. So every day we should fix the mind. We should have a very clear and a very, what should I say, a forceful program of devotional service. Every day waking up early in the morning, attending Mangla Arti, chanting rounds, having deity worship or having deity's darshan, hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. Very important to fix the mind. We create enemies and friends according to the dictations of the mind. Those who are like-minded, we consider they are friends. And those who are not like-minded, we consider them as enemies. So what is the criteria? Criteria is the mind. We create enemies and friends according to the dictations of the mind, but actually there are no enemies and friends. Pandita Samadarshina Sama Sarveshu Bhuteshu Madhbhakti Lavate Para. To understand this is the preliminary condition for entering into the kingdom of devotional service. So to fix the mind, one has to perform devotional service. And to perform devotional service, one has to learn to see everyone equally without classifying him as enemy and friend. In former times, there were many fools like you. Who is speaking? Prahlad Maharaj. Very interesting. Let me see the verse. He says, Dasyun Pura Sanva Vijita Lumpato. So the two words he is using, it is Dasyu. Dasyu means the plunderer who forcibly snatches away others' possession. And he says, Na Vijitya. Vijitya means to be victorious. So they cannot be victorious. Why? Because they are Lampat. Lampat means here Prabhupada is mentioning as stealing all one's possession. In this material world, everyone thinks that he has conquered his enemies, not understanding that his enemies are his uncontrolled mind and five senses. Very important. I was just hearing one lecture from one of our teachers, and he was saying that today's day is a day when we should try to become victorious from within and without. So where is the victory to be accomplished? From within. That the enemies are the uncontrolled mind and the five senses. Mana shasthani indriyani prakati sthane karshati. What is the verse starting? What is the first line? Mame vamsha jiva lokya jiva bhuta sanatana mana shasthani indriyani Pragati sthane karshati. In this material world, everyone has become a servant of the senses. Originally, everyone is a servant of Krishna. But in ignorance, one forgets this. And thus one is engaged in the service of Maya. How? Through lusty desires, anger, greed, illusion, madness, and jealousy. Everyone is actually dependent on the reaction of material laws. But still one thinks himself independent and thinks that he has conquered all directions. In conclusion, one who thinks that he has many enemies is an ignorant man. Whereas one who is in Krishna consciousness knows that there are no enemies, but those within oneself, the uncontrolled mind and senses. So after hearing this profound wisdom, the words of wisdom from Prahlad, what was the psychophysical situation of Hiranyakashipu? What was his position?
Trembling.
He was full of anger. His body was trembling. And after hearing what Prahlad did, Prahlad said, what will be his reaction? Hiranyakashipu replied, "You rascal, you are trying to minimize my value as if you were better than me at controlling the senses." Just imagine the kind of control Hiranyakashipu had to regulate his senses. He performed austerity for how many years?
36,000.
36,000 years.
How many years?
36,000. No, not heavenly 100 years.
How many years?
Each 6 months of earthly time is equal to 1 day. This is over intelligent. If I can therefore understand that you desire to die at my hands, for this kind of nonsensical talks is indulged in by those about to die. So see, Prahlad Maharaj took this risk also. Prahlad Maharaj, when he was preaching to this Asur Varya, the topmost of Asuras, so he took such a risk. That is why we have always said that not to preach the glories of the holy name to those who are faithless, because they cannot accept. What they will do? They will try to decimate or they will try to destroy. It is said in Hitopadesh. This is the same verse. Upadesha hi murkhanam prakopaya nashante. If good instructions are given to foolish person, he does not take advantage of them, but becomes more and more angry. Prahlad Maharaj authorized instructions to his father were not accepted by Hiranyakashipu as truth. Prahlad Maharaj authorized the instructions to his father were not accepted by Hiranyakashipu as truth. Instead, Hiranyakashipu became increasingly angry at his great son, who was a pure devotee. This kind of difficulty always exists when a devotee preaches Krishna consciousness. Prabhupada is so practical. He says this kind of difficulty always exists, even today. When a devotee preaches Krishna consciousness to persons like Hiranyakashipu, who are more interested in money and women. The word Hiranya means gold and Kashipu refers to cushioning of good bedding. That means comfortable bed to sleep or enjoy. Moreover, a father does not like to be instructed by his son, especially if the father is demonic. I don't know how much experience you people have. Prahlad Maharaj Vaishnava preaching to his demonic father was indirectly effective. For because of Hiranyakashipu's excessive jealousy of Krishna and his devotee, he was inviting Narasimha to kill him very quickly. Thus he was expediting his being killed by the Lord himself. Although Hiranyakashipu was a demon, he is described here by the added word Shri. Okay. Shri Hiranyakashipu Ruvacha. Why he is being addressed as Shri? Prabhupada is giving the reason. Why? Huh? Otherwise, it is Dhritarashtra Uvacha. You know, the three Dhritarashtra Uvacha. Why it is being mentioned as Shri, although he is an Asura? The answer is that he was fortunate that he had a great devotee son as Prahlad Maharaj, although he was a demon. Shri Gaurangi. He would attain salvation and return home back to Godhead. Oh, most unfortunate Prahlad, you have always described a supreme being other than me, a supreme being who is above everything, who is the controller of everyone, and who is all pervading. But where is he? If he is everywhere, then why is he not present before me in this pillar? This was the challenge. Demons sometimes, demons sometimes declare to a devotee that they cannot accept the existence of God because they cannot see him. Seeing is believing. But what the demons does not know is stated by the Lord himself in Bhagavad Gita 7.25. Naham prakasha sarvasya yogamaya samavritam. I am never manifest to the foolish and unintelligent. For them I am covered by yogamaya. The Lord is open to being seen by devotees, but non-devotees cannot see him. The qualification for seeing a God is stated in Brahma Samhita 5.38. Premanjana Churita Bhakti Vilochanena Santa Sadeva Hridayeshu Vilokayanti Yamasham Sundaram Achinte Guna Swarupam Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. A devotee who has developed genuine love for Krishna can always see him everywhere, whereas a demon, not having a clear understanding of the Supreme Lord. See Prabhupada's word. Prabhupada is giving a very broad categorization. A demon not having a clear understanding of the Supreme Lord. So who does not have a clear understanding of the Supreme Lord? Who is he?
Demon.
Demon. Cannot see him. When Hiranyakashipu was threatening to kill Prahlad Maharaj, Prahlad certainly saw the column standing before him and his father. And he saw that the Lord was present in the pillar to encourage him, not to fear his demoniac father's words. The Lord was present to protect him. Hiranyakashipu marked Prahlad's observation and asked him, "Where is your God?" Prahlad Maharaj replied, "He is everywhere." Then Hiranyakashipu asked him, "Why is he not in this pillar before me?" Thus, in all circumstances, the devotee can always see the Supreme Lord, whereas the non-devotee cannot. Prahlad Maharaj has thus been addressed by his father as the most unfortunate. Hiranyakashipu thought himself extremely fortunate because he possessed the property of the universe. Prahlad Maharaj, his legitimate son, was to have inherited this vast property, but because of his impudence, he was going to die at his father's hand. Therefore, the demoniac father considered Prahlad the most unfortunate. Because Prahlad would not be able to inherit his property. Hiranyakashipu did not know that Prahlad Maharaj was the most fortunate person within these three worlds, because Prahlad was protected by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Such are the misunderstandings of demons. They do not know that the devotee is protected by the Lord in all circumstances. Kaunteya pratijanahi name bhaktya pranashyati. Because you are speaking so much nonsense, I shall now sever your head from your body. Now let me see your most worshipable God come to protect you. I want to see it. Demons always think that the God of the devotee is fictitious. They think that there is no God. and that the so-called religious feelings of devotion to God is but an opiate kind of illusion, like the illusion derived from LSD and opium. Hiranyakashipu did not believe Prahlad Maharaj when Prahlad asserted that his Lord is present everywhere, because Hiranyakashipu, as a typical demon, was convinced that there is no God and no one can protect Prahlad. He felt encouraged to kill his son. He challenged the idea that the devotee is always protected by the Supreme Lord. Mobile में रखे? Being obsessed with anger, Hiranyakashipu, who was very great in bodily strength, thus chastised his exalted son devotee Prahlad with harsh words. Cursing him again and again, Hiranyakashipu took up his sword, got up from his royal throne, and with great anger struck his fist against the column. Then from within the pillar came a fearful sound which appeared to crack the covering of the universe. Oh, my dear Yudhishthir, this is Narad Muni explaining to Yudhishthir. This sound reached even the abodes of the demigods, like Lord Brahma. And when the demigods heard it, they thought, oh, now our planets are being destroyed. While showing his extraordinary prowess, Hiranyakashipu, who desired to kill his own son, heard that wonderful tumultuous sound, which had never been heard. Upon hearing the sound, the other leaders of the demons were afraid. None of them could find the origin of that sound in the assembly. To prove that the statement of his servant Prahlad was substantial, in other words, to prove that the Supreme Lord is present everywhere, even within the pillar of the assembly hall, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Hari, exhibited a wonderful form never before seen. This form was neither that of a man nor that of a lion. Thus the Lord appeared in his wonderful form in the assembly hall. Shri Narasimha Dev Bhagwan ki jai. When Hiranyakashipu asked Prahlad Maharaj, where is your Lord? Is he present in the pillar? Prahlad Maharaj fearlessly replied, yes, my Lord is present everywhere. Therefore, to convince Hiranyakashipu that the statement of Prahlad Maharaj was unmistakably true, the Lord appeared from the pillar. This is the, point that why Lord appeared from the pillar. You've never seen this kind of appearance, the Lord appearing from the pillar. Why he appeared from the pillar? Why? Because the statement of Prahlad Maharaj was unmistakably true. Krishna has already said, Kaunteya pratijanahi name bhaktya pranashyati. Neither the devotee will ever perish, nor his declaration will ever become false. Krishna protects. The Lord appeared as a half lion and a half man, so that Hiranyakashipu could not understand whether the great giant was a lion or a human being. To substantiate Prahlad's statement, the Lord proved that his devotee, as declared in Bhagavad Gita, is never vanquished. 3 times here on verse number 17. Third time Prabhupada is quoting this verse. Kaunteya pratijanahi name bhaktya pranashyati. Prahlad Maharaj's demonic father had repeatedly threatened to kill Prahlad, but Prahlad was confident that he could not be killed since he was protected by the Supreme Lord. By appearing from the pillar, the Lord encouraged his devotee, saying in effect, don't worry, I am present here. By manifesting his form as Narasimha Dev, the Lord preserved the truth of Lord Brahma's promise that Hiranyakashipu was not to be killed by an animal or any man. The Lord appeared in the form that could not be said to be fully man or a lion. When Hiranyakashipu looked all around to find the source of the sound. That wonderful form of the Lord, which could not be ascertained to be either a man or lion, emerged from the pillar. In amazement, Hiranyakashipu wondered, what is this creature that is half man and half lion? Nayam mrigonapi naro vichitram aho kimetan nar mrigendra rupam. What was the other form that we learned today? What was the other form? What was the name? Narkesari. And here it is Nara Mrigendra. Nara Mriga Indra Rupam. The form of both the man and that of lion. Nara Mriga Indra Rupam. The demons cannot calculate the unlimited potency of the Supreme Lord. As stated in the Vedas, Parasha Shaktir Vividheva Shruyate Swabhaviki Jnana Bala Kriyacha. The different potencies of the Lord are always working as an automatic exhibition of his knowledge. For a demon, it is certainly wonderful that the form of a lion and the form of a man can be united. Since the demon has no experience of this inconceivable power for which the Supreme Lord is called all-powerful, demons cannot understand the omnipotency of the Lord. They simply compare the Lord to one of them. Avjananti mamudha manushim tanum ashritam. Mudha, rascal, think that Krishna is an ordinary human being who appears for the benefits of other human beings. Param bhavam ajananta. Fools, rascals and demons cannot realize the supreme potency of the Lord. But he can do anything and everything. Indeed, he can do whatever he likes. When Hiranyakashipu received benedictions from Lord Brahma, he thought that he was safe, since he received the benedictions that he would not be killed either by the animal or by the human being. He never thought that an animal and human being would be combined, so that the demon like him would be puzzled by such a form. That is the meaning of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is the meaning of Supreme Personality of Godhead's omnipotency. Hiranyakashipu studied the form of the Lord, trying to decide who the form of Narasimha standing before him was. The Lord's form was extremely fearsome because of his angry eyes, which resembled molten gold. His shining maze, which expanded the dimensions of his fearful face, his deadly teeth and his razor-sharp tongue. Vajranakha we know, and Vajra Damshtra, his deadly teeth, and his razor-sharp tongue, which moved about like a dueling sword. His ears were erect and motionless, and his nostrils and gaping mouth appeared like caves of a mountain. His jaws parted fearfully. बोलो ले आएगा वही है बोलो ले आओ 3 नंबर गेट पे दे देगा. His ears were erect and motionless, and his nostrils and gaping mouth appeared like cave of the mountains. His jaws parted fearfully, and his entire body touched the sky. That was the size of Narasimha. तो उसको बोलो अभी ले आएगा. क्या बोल रहा थी? अभी लेके आएगा. His neck was very short and thick. नहीं 3 बजे लेके आ जाओ अभी तो. His chest broad and his waist thin, and the hairs on his body were as white as the rays of the moon. His arms, which resembled flanks of soldiers, spread in all directions. As he killed the demons, rose an atheist with his conch shell disc club, lotus, and other natural weapons. Acha. This is what Mohan Prabhu was speaking in the morning. How the Lord kills? He killed the demons, rose and atheist with his conch shell. अपने शंख से भी मार देते हैं. डिस्क से तो मारते ही हैं. हाँ? By his darshan, he kills. He also kills by his club, but he also kills by his lotus and other natural weapons. तब कर कमल वरे नाखाम अद्भुत श्रृंगार. Normally what happens is the lotus leaf is teared upon by the bhringa. But the honeybee, bumblebee, honeybee, same. But here what is happening? That the lotus-like petals are tearing the heart of Hiranyakashipu. So this is Adbhuta Shringa. This is Adbhut. This is extraordinary, amazing. So from where it is coming from this verse. That he killed the demons, roughs and atheists with his conch shell, disc, club, lotus and other natural weapons. Hiranyakashipu murmured to himself. He spoke to himself. Lord Vishnu, who possesses great mystic power, has made this plan to kill me. But what is the use of such an attempt? Who can fight with me? Thinking like this and taking up his club, Hiranyakashipu attacked the Lord like an elephant. Just as the small insects falls forcefully into the fire and the insignificant creature becomes invisible. When Hiranyakashipu attacked the Lord, who was full of effulgence, Hiranyakashipu became invisible. You have seen many times when you go near to a very flashing light, then you cannot see anything. You are blinded by the illumination of the light. So here, the Lord who was full of effulgence, Hiranyakashipu became invisible. This is not at all astonishing, for the Lord is always situated in pure goodness. Formerly, during creation, he entered the dark universe and illuminated it by his spiritual effulgence. What is it? Brahmajyoti. The Lord is situated transcendently in pure goodness. The material world is generally controlled by tamo guna, the quality of ignorance. But the spiritual world, because of the presence of the Lord and his effulgence, is free from all contamination by darkness, passion, or contaminated goodness. So what prevails there? When there is no darkness, passion, or contaminated goodness, so what prevails there? Shuddha Sattva. Although there is a tinge of goodness in this material world in terms of Brahminical qualifications, such qualifications sometimes become invisible because of the strong prevalence of the modes of passion and ignorance. But because the Lord is always transcendently situated, the material mode of passion and ignorance cannot touch him. Whenever the Lord is present, there cannot be any darkness from the mode of ignorance. As it is stated in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Krishna Surya Sama Maya Hoye Andhakara Yaha Krishna Taha Nahi Maya Radhikara. Godhead is light, nations is darkness. Where there is Godhead, there is no nations. This material world is full of darkness and ignorance of spiritual life. But by Bhakti Yoga, this ignorance is dissipated. The Lord appeared because of the Bhakti Yoga exhibited by Prahlad Maharaj. Very important. Krishna only agrees to appear to please his devotee. We see, by the devotional service of Madhavendra Puri, he appeared as Gopal. By the love and devotional service of Srila Rupa Goswami, he appeared as Govind Dev. Of Srila Sanatan Goswami, he appeared as Madan Mohan or Madan Gopal. This is very important that because of the Bhakti Yoga exhibited by Prahlad Maharaj. And as soon as the Lord appeared, the influence of Hiranyakashipu's passion and ignorance was vanquished, as the Lord's quality of pure goodness or the Brahma effulgence became prominent. In that prominent effulgence, Hiranyakashipu became invisible, or his influence became insignificant. An example illustrating how the darkness of the material world is vanquished and is given in the Shastras. When Brahma was created from the lotus stem growing from the abdomen of Garbhodakshai Vishnu, Lord Brahma saw everything to be dark. But when he received knowledge from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, everything became clear. As everything becomes clear when one comes from night to sunshine. The important point is that as long as we are in the material modes of nature, we are always in darkness. This darkness cannot be dissipated without the presence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, which is invoked by the practice of Bhakti Yoga. Bhakti Yoga creates a transcendental situation with no material contaminations. Thereafter, the great demon Hiranyakashipu, who was extremely angry, swiftly attacked Narasimha with his club and began to beat him. Lord Narasimha, however, captured the great demon along with his club, just as Garuda might capture a great snake. O Yudhishthir, O great son of Bharat, when Lord Narasimha gave Hiranyakashipu a chance to slip from his hand, just as Garuda sometimes plays with the snakes and let it slip from his mouth. The demigods who had lost their lords and who were hiding behind the clouds for fear of the demons did not consider that incident very good. Indeed, they were perturbed. When Hiranyakashipu was in the process of being killed by Narasimha, the Lord gave demon a chance to slip from his clutches. This incident was not very much appreciated by the demigods. Similar incidents comes in Krishna Leela, where this incident was not very much appreciated by the demigods, but they were greatly afraid of Hiranyakashipu. Bolo, bolo, jaldi bolo. Where it comes? Kalia. Kalia. Everyone was so fearful. Why? Krishna got encircled in the coils of Kalia. And everyone thought that now Kalia is going to kill Krishna. They knew that if someone or other Hiranyakashipu escaped from Narasimhadev's hand and saw that the demigods were looking forward to his death with great pleasure, he would take great revenge upon them. Therefore, they were very much afraid. When Hiranyakashipu was freed from the hands of Narasimhadev, he falsely thought that the Lord was afraid of his prowess. Therefore, after taking a little rest from the fight, he took up his sword and shield and again attacked the Lord with his great force. A sinful man enjoys material facilities. Foolish people sometimes think, how is it that this sinful man is enjoying, whereas a pious man is suffering? See the word, what Prabhupada is saying. Prabhupada says, foolish people sometimes think. We also think like this. We are following religious principles, and what we are doing, we are not able to enjoy. And the sinful man, he is enjoying. Prabhupada says, such foolish people sometimes think. So we should not remain foolish. By the will of the Supreme, a sinful man is sometimes given a chance to enjoy the material world, as if he were not under the clutches of material nature, just so that he may be fooled. A sinful man who acts against the laws of nature must be punished. But sometimes he is given chance to play exactly like Hiranyakashipu when he was released from the hands of Narasimhadev. Hiranyakashipu was destined to be ultimately killed by Narasimhadev. But just to see the fun, the Lord gave him a chance to slip from his hands. Making a loud, shrill sound of laughter, the Supreme Personality of Godhead Narayan who is extremely strong and powerful, captured Hiranyakashipu, who was protecting himself with his sword and shield, leaving no gaps open. With the speed of a hawk, Hiranyakashipu moved sometimes in the sky and sometimes on the earth. His eyes closed because of the fear of Narasimhadev's laughter. As a snake captures a mouse, or Garuda captures a very venomous snake, Lord Narasimhadev captured Hiranyakashipu, who would not be pierced even by the thunderbolt of King Indra. As Hiranyakashipu moved his limbs here, there, and all around, very much afflicted of being captured, Lord Narasimhadev placed the demon on his lap, supporting him with his thighs. And in the doorway of the assembly hall, the Lord very easily tore the demon to pieces with the nails of his hand. This is Tavakar Kamalavare. Nakham Adbhuta Shinga. Dalita Hiranyakashipu Tanu Bringa. Hiranyakashipu had received from Lord Brahma the benediction that he could not die on the land or in the sky. Therefore, to keep the promise of Lord Brahma intact, Narasimhadev placed Hiranyakashipu's body on his lap. Neither it was in sky nor it was on earth, which was neither land nor sky. Hiranyakashipu had received the benediction that he would not die either during the day or night. Therefore, to keep this promise of Brahma, the Lord killed Hiranyakashipu in the evening, which is the end of the day and the beginning of night, but is neither day nor night. Hiranyakashipu had taken a benediction from Lord Brahma that he could not die from any weapon or be killed by any person, dead or alive. Therefore, just to keep the word of Lord Brahma, Lord Narasimhadev pierced Hiranyakashipu's body with his nails, which were not weapons and were neither living nor dead. Indeed, the nails can be called dead, but at the same time, they can be said to be alive. To keep intact of all Lord Brahma's benediction, Lord Narasimhadev paradoxically but very easily killed the great demon Hiranyakashipu. Lord Narasimhadev's mouth and mane were sprinkled with blood, drops of blood. Mouth तो समझ में आ गया, mane क्या है? करल, अच्छा. संभ्रमा दुष्प्रेक्या करला लोचना वृत्या अनान अंतम विहिलम स्वजीव्य अस्क्लावा smeared his face. Okay, find out, Manoram. This time, please find out what does the word mean. Mouth and mane. Mouth we understand. What is mane was sprinkled with drops of blood, and his fierce eyes full of anger were impossible to look at. Licking the edge of his mouth with his tongue, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Narasimhadev. Hair, acha. Because he was Nar Kesari, na? From mouth के नीचे क्या है? Hairs है ना? अभी नरसिंहदेव को दिया है ना? ये hairs है. देखो, नरसिंहदेव के ये hairs है. This is hairs. जिसको हम कवच कहते हैं ना? This is not कवच. This is hairs. ये नहीं, ये जो नीचे लगाया नहीं है. ये गोल्डन, हाँ, गोल्डन कलर का. हाँ, गोल्डन कलर का. So Lord Narasimha's mouth and mace were sprinkled with drops of blood, and his fierce eyes full of anger were impossible to look at. Licking the edge of his mouth with his tongue, the Supreme Personality of Godhead Narasimhadev, decorated with a garland of intestine taken from Hiranyakashipu's abdomen. So this was first open operation without any anesthesia or without any instrument. In the history of operations, this is the first operation. How the operation has been done? By the nails. Tavakar Kamalavare. And the Lord extracted the intestines out of his abdomen and He circulated the intestines around his neck to make it his garland. Narasimha decorated with the garland of intestine taken from Hiranyakashipu's abdomen resembled a lion that has just killed an elephant. The hair, yeah, it is mentioned. The hair on Lord Narasimha's face, being sprinkled with drops of blood, was reddish and looked very beautiful. Lord Narasimha pierced Hiranyakashipu's abdomen with his nails, pulled out the demon intestine, and wore them as a garland, which enhanced his beauty. Thus the Lord became very fearsome, like a lion engaged in fighting an elephant. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, who had many, many arms, first uprooted Hiranyakashipu's heart. This is first heart surgery. And then threw him aside and turned towards the demon soldiers. These soldiers had come in thousands to fight with him with raised weapons. And they were very faithful followers of Hiranyakashipu, but Lord Narasimha killed all of them merely with the end of his nails. Since the creation of the material world, there have been of two kinds of men, the Devas and the Asuras. The Devas are always faithful to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, whereas the Asuras are always atheists who defy the supremacy of the Lord. At the present moment, throughout the entire world, the atheists are extremely numerous. They are trying to prove that there is no God and that everything takes place due to a combination of permutation of material elements. Thus, the material world is becoming more and more godless, and consequently, everything is in disturbed condition. If this continues, the Supreme Personality of Godhead will certainly take action, as he did in the case of Hiranyakashipu. Within a second, Hiranyakashipu and his followers were destroyed. And similarly, if the godless civilization continues, it will be destroyed in a second, simply by the movement of one finger of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The demons should therefore be careful and curtail their godless civilization. They should take advantage of the Krishna consciousness movement and become faithful to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, otherwise they are doomed. As Hiranyakashipu was killed in a second, the godless civilization can be destroyed at any moment. What should I do? It is already past 3. अभी सुनना है या बंद करो? हिरण्यकशिपु को तो मार दिया. हाँ? You want to see? हाँ? प्रहलाद लाद? हाँ? हिरण्यकशिपु वक्षः वो तो हो गया. Now how he will interact with प्रहलाद महाराज? अभी तक वो नहीं हुआ ना. अभी तो डायरेक्ट किसके साथ इंटरेक्शन हुआ? हिरण्यकशिपु के साथ हुआ. मार दिया. The hairs on Narasimha's head shook the clouds and scattered them here and there. His glaring eyes told the effulgence of the luminaires in the sky. What are the luminaires in the sky? The sun, moon, and the stars. And his breathing agitated the seas and oceans. Because of his roaring, all the elephants in the world began to cry in fear. I'm taking the translations only now. Airplanes were thrown in outer space and upper planetary system by the hairs of Narasimha Dev's head. Because of the pressure of the Lord's lotus feet, the earth appeared to slip from its position. And all the hills and mountains sprang up due to his intolerable force. Because of the Lord's bodily effulgence, both the sky and all directions diminished in their natural illumination. Manifesting a full effulgence and fearsome countenance, Lord Narasimha, being very angry and finding no contestant to face his power and opulence, then sat down in the assembly hall on the excellent throne of the king. This is also very mystical. That the Lord, he sat down on the throne of Hiranyakashipu. Why he did so, Prabhupada will answer it. Because of fear and obedience, no one could come forward to serve the Lord directly. Such a fearful form and such a fearful mood, no one had ever witnessed before. So everyone was very, very fearful. No one could come forward. When the Lord sat on the throne of Hiranyakashipu, there was no one to protest. No enemy came forward on behalf of Hiranyakashipu to fight with the Lord. This means that his supremacy was immediately accepted by the demons. Another point is that although Hiranyakashipu treated the Lord as his bitterest enemy, he was the Lord's faithful servant in Vaikuntha. And therefore, the Lord had no hesitation in sitting on the throne that Hiranyakashipu had so laboriously created. Srila Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur remarks in this connection that sometimes with great care and attention, great saintly persons and rishis offer the land valuable seed dedicated with Vedic mantras and tantras. But still the Lord does not sit upon those thrones. Hiranyakashipu, however, had formerly been Jaya, the doorkeeper at the Vaikuntha gate. And although he had fallen because of the curse of the Brahmanas, he had gotten the nature of a demon. And although he had never offered anything to the Lord as Hiranyakashipu, the Lord is so affectionate to his devotee and servant that he nonetheless took pleasure in sitting on the throne that Hiranyakashipu had created. In this regard, it is to be understood that the devotee is fortunate in any condition of life. Hiranyakashipu had been exactly like a fever of meningitis in the head of the three worlds. Thus, when the wives of the demigods in the heavenly planets saw that the great demon had been killed by the personal hand of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, their faces blossomed in great joy. The wives of the demigods again and again showered flowers from heaven upon Lord Narasimha Dev like rain. At that time, the airplanes of the demigods who desired to see the activities of the Supreme Lord Narayan crowded the sky. The demigods began beating drums and kettle drums, and upon hearing them from angelic women, began to dance, while the chiefs of the Gandharvas sang sweetly. My dear King Yudhishthir, the demigods then approached the Lord. They were headed by Lord Brahma, King Indra, Lord Shiva, and included great saintly persons and the residents of Pitralok, Siddhalok, Vidyadharalok, and the planets of the snakes. The Manus approached, and so did the chief of other various planets. The angelic dancers approached, as did the Gandharvas, the Charanas, the Yakshas, the inhabitants of Kinnaraloka, the Vetalas, the inhabitant of Kim Purushlo, and the personal servant of Vishnu, like Sunanda and Kumunda. All of them came near the Lord, who all of them came near the Lord, who glowed with intense light. They individually offered their obeisances and prayers, their hands folded at their heads. This is Brahmaji speaking. Sri Brahma Uvacha. Lord Brahma prayed, My Lord, you are unlimited and you possess unending potencies. No one can estimate or calculate your prowess and wonderful influence. For your actions are never polluted by material energy. Though the material qualities, you are very easily create the universe, maintain it, and again annihilate. Yet you remain the same without deterioration. I therefore offer my respectful obeisances unto you. So in this way, we will see everyone will come and offer their prayers, their realizations. So Brahmaji speaking, and then Shri Rudra, Shivaji speaking. Lord Shiva said, the end of the millennium is the time for your anger. But why you are showing it now? Now this is insignificant demon. Hiranyakashipu has been killed, oh my Lord. Who are naturally affectionate to your devotees, kindly protect his son Prahlad Maharaj, who is standing nearby as your fully surrendered devotee. Then Indra Uvacha. King Indra said, O Supreme Lord, you are the deliverer and protector. Our shares of sacrifices, which are actually yours, have been recovered from the demon by you. Because the demoniac king, Hiranyakashipu, was most fearful. Our hearts, like you, our hearts, which are your permanent abode, were all overtaken by him. Now by your presence, the gloom and darkness in our hearts have been dissipated. O Lord, for those who have always engaged in your service, which is more exalted than liberation, all material opulence is insignificant. They do not even care for living. This way they are all coming and praying. I'll go fast forward. And the rishis will come, the sages will speak, and the pitaras will speak. उठाओ उसको. Siddhas will speak. We'll come to Nagas are speaking. Manus will speak. Prajapati, Gandharva, long list. Charanas, Yakshaha, Kim Purushaha, Shri Vetalika, Uchuhu, Vetalik log, Kinnara, the associates of Lord Vishnu. Okay, so this is the prayers, and then comes the next chapter that Prahlad specifies Lord Narasimha Dev with prayers. Here stop. So I'll stop here because there are some other engagements. There will be this elaborate Narasimha Dev Abhishek. So in this way we see that why the Lord appeared. Now may I ask, what was the reason of Lord appearing as Narasimha Dev? What we studied? शेर समाप्त करने को है. Yeah, you speak. Why did Lord appear as Narasimha Dev? Yes, Purushottam Prabhu. बोलिए.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. True Lord appeared to make the statement of Prahlad Maharaj true. That
Yes. Yes. Yes, very much. That is conviction that the Lord is present everywhere. There is no place in His creation where He is not present. Okay. What else is the learning? Everyone, please share what we learned from today's recitation. Key point. Manoram, I need a message. You should send me the write-up. Otherwise, Narasimha Dev will take care. Okay, speak. What is the key point that you covered today or you discovered today? बोलिए. Okay, you are taking time, so others can speak. Sonika, आप बोलिए.
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी.
Very good.
प्रभु जी, एक तो अभी अब बोला आपने कि प्रहलाद महाराज के कन्विक्शन के कारण, प्रहलाद महाराज के फेथ के कारण भगवान का अपीयरेंस हुआ. तो ये हम लोग के लिए लर्निंग भी है प्रभु जी कि हमें मतलब इस भगवान के प्रति हमेशा ही कंप्लीटली फेथफुल रहना चाहिए. और
How
मतलब
how we can say that we are becoming faithful to Krishna? That also we discussed. Prabhupada spoke in his purports. How? The sign of faith?
इन एनी कंडीशन प्रभु जी हम लोग को मतलब अगर हम भगवान कृष्णा को नहीं भूलते हैं उनको हमेशा मेमोराइज करते हैं तो वो और मतलब उन पे मेडिटेट कर सकते हैं हर कंडीशन में तो हम उनके लिए फेथफुल है।
नहीं, that is not the sign of faith. Two places Prabhupada spoke about it. What is the sign of faith? Who is actually a devotee? सब लोग चले गए, पहले तो कई सारे लोग थे, अब तो सब गायब हो गए। प्रदीप चले गए, गणेश भी चले गए, अरुण। What is the sign of faith? बोलो, what is the sign of faith? Twice इस चैप्टर में हमने पढ़ा।
The devotee does not care if the instructions of the non-devotee.
Yes, a devotee does not care for the instructions of demons or non-devotees, whatever they may speak, whatever. Very important. This is a sign of faith. Okay, thank you very much. With your presence and with your association, we could see how Lord Narasimha appears. And we should pray today to Lord Narasimha that the greatest Hiranyakashipu is not outside, it is within our heart. So in the form of lust, greed, anger, avarice, illusion, madness. So if Lord Narasimha can slay this demon, we don't have only one Hiranyakashipu. There are multiples, millions of them. It's more difficult to kill the Hiranyakashipu which is within our heart than to kill the Hiranyakashipu which was outside. Why? Because we hide. We don't accept. And we don't allow the Lord to heal also. So if today we can open our heart and pray to Him and become free from these unwanted things called anarthas. Shri Narasimha Avirbhav Tithi Mahamotsav ki jai, Shri Prahlad Maharaj ki jai, Shrimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanandi.